Okay, so some other characters, not going to get into as long as I did with Allie because I haven't read these books recently, so I'm not going to have any specific examples. Another really good role model would be Lyra Belacqua from the His Dark Materials trilogy. Once again, I haven't read these books recently, so it's not very fresh on my mind. I just read her Wikipedia page to remember a little bit more about her. But when the series starts off, she's 11 years old. She's a petulant child running through the streets of Oxford, doing whatever the hell she damn well pleases, and just living the life, just doing whatever she wants. And suddenly, all these responsibilities get thrust on her. At first, she really doesn't know how to react, but she really, really, very much so matures by the end of the series. Anyone who says that she doesn't make sacrifices, very mature sacrifices, throughout the series is completely crazy. Because, well, if they've read the books, first of all, you have to have read the books to know these things. But the difference here, you could totally be like, all the Twilight fans are like, oh my god, Bella makes sacrifices. She has to give up her humanity, and she has to give up her human family so that she can go and be with her one true love, Edward, forever and ever. Okay, that is not a sacrifice. She's just indulging her personal, her selfishness, really. These are selfish sacrifices. She probably wanted to get away from Charlie. She treats him like shit anyway throughout the entire book. She treats him like he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when he's her father and he's trying to protect her from her abusive boyfriend. Obviously, he has some reason for the way he's acting. Her mother is not the most mature character, but the only reason Meyer wrote her like that is to make Bella seem mature when she's obviously not. Bella does not make mature sacrifices for the sake of others. She makes sacrifices for herself. She sacrifices Charlie, and in the end, these sacrifices amount to nothing, because she gets to keep her human family anyway. As far as I remember, Charlie doesn't give a shit about her being a vampire. Nothing is lost in the end of the Twilight series. Everybody gets to keep everything, everybody's happy. Jacob ends up with Renee's thingy, which is disgusting and terrible. Edward keeps Bella, nobody dies. Alice and Jasper have not really run away. There are no sacrifices made whatsoever. Lyra makes heart-wrenching sacrifices. She has to give up her own soul in the third book. She has to separate from her soul, her whole being, for the sake of other people. This is like the biggest sacrifice in the history of the world, other than like Jesus. But I'm not going to get into theology here. Once again, I forgot to set a timer, I just realized. Okay, almost 4 minutes. Let me set another timer. I'm rather forgetful for some reason. Okay, Lyra makes terrible sacrifices, and they are not for her own selfish sake. They are for others. This is a rather big spoiler, so cover your ears if you haven't read His Dark Materials and you're planning to. At the end, she's in love with Will by the end of the book, and they have to choose to separate for the sake of humanity, because they know that they have to close all the windows, and their demons can't survive in another world, so they have to separate. Bella and Edward would never do that. They would just kill themselves, because that's a mature decision. When things don't go your way, just kill yourself. That's the thing that we need to be planting into young, impressionable minds. If you have to give up your one true love, just kill yourself. yeah, that's a great message to be sending to children who are raging with hormones and think that their first love will be their last. And this is another great thing about his dark materials. I don't remember the exact circumstances of Lyra and Will falling in love. It's been a while since I read it. But as far as I remember, it makes a distinction between the fact that Will and Lyra are each other's first love and that they're each other's one true love, as we say in the anti-twilight community. As far as I remember, there's some parallel between Will and Lyra and Mary Malone and someone that she loved back in the past, and that was not a one true love situation as far as I know. So it's trying to, as far as I might have this wrong, it's been a while, but as far as I know, it's making a distinction between your first love and your true love. Because as most of us know, it's not always going to be the first person you fall in love with is going to be your soulmate to marry and grow old together with and all that mushy gushy stuff. For some people it does happen that way, but for most of us we have to go through trial and error. We learn more about ourselves through the pain, and we learn more about what we're looking for, and we do change as people. So when you fall in love with someone when you're young, you're both probably going to change as people, and you might end up clashing. There might be outside circumstances that force you to break up, but there it is. You know, it doesn't always work out one true love happily ever after. So Lyra is, by the end of the book, extremely mature. She's come miles and miles from where she started, makes terrible sacrifices for other people's sake, not for her own. And she's just a very, very admirable girl. Take that, Bella Swan, take that. So, okay. Quickly, I also wanted to mention, this is not a young adult book, but it's something that a lot of older teenage girls read. Memoirs of a Geisha. Sayuri is also a good role model. Probably not as good as Ali or Lyra, but nonetheless better than Bella, which is pretty much, once again, every heroine ever. So, Sayuri comes out of an extremely tragic and heart-wrenching childhood. She grows up in a small fishing village, and when she's young, her mother's dying, and her father is forced to sell her and her sister into bondage. Her own father has to sell her. This is a lot more of something to complain about than anything that Bella has to complain about that she does complain about. So shut up, Bella, shut up. Sayuri, because she's more beautiful than her sister physically, she's able to go and start training as a geisha, whereas her sister has to become a prostitute. And she goes to the geisha house, and there's the lead geisha at the house hates her guts and makes her life miserable and bullies her, and you know, all this stuff happens. And Sayuri is able to come out of this unhappy childhood and find strength in a future hope, which is the chairman, this man who showed her a small kindness when she was a girl and treated her like a human being in a world where everyone was just spitting on her. And she holds on to that hope for pretty much her entire life. And in the end, she makes it a reality. But she goes through some incredible things, and she really has to draw upon her inner strength, and she relies on nobody. There's very little trust in the geisha world, and she really has to become self-reliant. And there are a few people here and there who help her out, and there's a lot of chance that ends up coming into play. But this is extremely long. Now, I make a lot of long videos, apparently. So, if you have any suggestions for other heroines that you think are better than Bella, which is everybody ever, please leave it in the comments. I would love that. I might make another video of like heroes that are better than Edward, but I don't read a lot of like books with male heroes because most of the books I read with male leads, like they're like schizoid or pedophiles or like they have alternate personalities or they're just messed up people, so they're not really heroes. But please leave comments and yeah, I love it. So cool, great. Okay, bye!